This tutorial is for those of you that are really happy with the area model and you want to practice the expanded written method for multiplying 2-digit numbers. So we're going to use the calculation 34 multiplied by 27. I'm really quickly going to pop this into my area model. So I'm going to partition out my numbers. So I have 30 and 4 and 20 and 7. I'm going to start off multiplying my ones by my ones. And I know my 7 times table, I know that 7 times 4 is going to give me 28, which is the same as 4 times 7. Then I'm going to stick with my ones and I'm going to look at 7 times 30 and think about which times table fact I would use to help me with this. So I know that I could either use my 3 times tables or I could use my 7 times tables. And I know that 7 times 3 gives me 21, but 30 is 10 times bigger than 3. So my answer is also going to be 10 times bigger, which gives me 210. I'm then going to look at my tens and my ones, and I'm going to think, right, I know that 4 multiplied by 2 gives me 8. And I know that 20 is 10 times bigger than 2, so I know that my answer again is going to be 10 times bigger. This is the part I want you to pay real attention to. Because you've got the number 30 and you're multiplying it by 20, I would use the times table fact of 3 times 2. And I know that 3 times 2 is 6. So then I could look at this and I could think, right, well, I know that 3 times 20 is 60 because it's 10 times bigger. But this isn't 3, it's actually 30, and that's 20. So I know if 30 times 2 is 60, I know that 30 times 20 is 600 because it's 10 times bigger again. And I want you to pay real close attention to this part. Because if you've got a number there, if you've got 60, this is where I want you to double check and make sure that all of your answers are sensible. If you've got 60 in that box, you need to look at it and think, right, 30 times by 20, can it possibly be 60? Well, 30 add 30 gives you 60, so 30 times 2 gives you 60, so we know we've gone wrong here, okay? So that's where, if it helps for you to write out your times tables to help you with that. So you can write out them like this, and you know that you're increasing it by 10 each time. You're multiplying it by 10 each time. It's getting 10 times bigger, okay? So we know there that our answer is going to be 600. Okay, so this part is done. We're not going to add them up and check them yet. We're going to do that at the end. So over here, this is the part that I'd like you to pay real close attention to. We're going to set this out in a column format, a bit like we do with a 1-digit number, but this time it's got 2 digits multiplied by 2 digits. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to work through it with multiplying 2 numbers at a time. So I've got over here, I'm going to start off with my 7 times by 4 in brackets. Now I write it out in brackets. I'm going to write out all my calculations in brackets first so that I know exactly what numbers it is that I'm calculating so I don't get confused. And we always start with our ones. So I'm going to multiply my 7 ones by my 4 ones. Then similar to how we did over here, I'm then going to multiply my 7 ones by my 3 tens. So I've got 7 times 30. Okay. Then I'm going to move to my tens. I'm going to say, right, I've got 2 tens and I'm multiplying it by 4. So I have the calculation 20 times 4. And then the final calculation is my 20 times 30. Okay. So can you spot where those calculations came from? And then all we do is we write the answers in the correct place value columns. So if it helps, write in your place value columns. Okay, so I know 7 times 4, we know that that was 28. And then we knew that 7 times 30 was 210. And then we looked at 20 times 4, which gave us 80. And then finally, we knew that 20 times 30 was 600. So you see how they're all in the same columns? We now just add all of these digits up in the correct column. So I have 8 ones. Just going to move this along a little bit so you can see. I have 2 tens. I have 8 tens. I know that that is a number bond to 10. So I have 10 tens. And I have an extra 10. I have 11 tens. So 11 tens means that I exchange one of those tens for 100 and it goes in my 100 columns. I then have 200s, add 600s, which gives me 8 100s. I then add this 100 and I have 9 100s. And that is the expanded method. If I add all of these together, we'll find that I also get 918. And I'll just prove it to you over here. So 600 add 210 is going to give me 810. Nice one. To that, I'm then going to add 810. I'm going to add on to it 80, which is going to give me, let's have a little look, 098. And then my final calculation would be 890 add 28. 8 add 0 is 8. 9 add 2 is 11. So I need to exchange those 10 tens for 100. 8 100s add 1 100 gives us 918.